most people enjoy doing, but filing taxes is a necessity. April 15th, of course, is the deadline. And if you haven't filed already, and if you have, I mean, I'm so impressed, it's a good time to get your paperwork together. Here to help us is the publisher of Getting Organized magazine, Stacey Anderson. It's nice to have you back. How are you doing?
Thank you. Good, good.
So part of the trick, apparently, is, getting your paperwork and having the right gizmos to help you get organized. Apparently, a shoebox is not the best way to go.
It's not ideal, but if that's what you're working with, that's what you're working with.
It's better than nothing.
So, yes, exactly. So what I thought we would show you is exactly how to organize them in a more organized way.
Right.
The first thing that I wanted to talk about is because a lot of people struggle with how long to keep their paperwork, and that's kind of the #1 thing. And so this is a filing system. It is called the Freedom Filer, and it is fantastic. It is color-coded, and that makes it beautiful. But the thing about this is great for taxes. It actually has all of your tax information on here, your healthcare expenses, all that sort of stuff. And it'll tell you how long to keep them and how to rotate them. There's a whole system involved here that will actually walk you through all of your paperwork. So it's done for you.
And the different colors represent different years?
Actually, the different colors represent, so this is taxes, and this would be like your school things, and then they have like insurance, and so it depends on how long you're going to keep them. Some things are a one in, one out, and some of them you keep forever, and it walks you through with that particular
And then there's a
system.
red one that's for permanent things?
Yep,
So
and it says right on the tag, it'll say permanent, so you know once you put it in there, exactly, it's a done deal.
All right.
The other thing that is great is, so again, we want to make sure that we're keeping our paperwork in some sort of a system, but we never necessarily know how to do that, and we make it too complicated. While this is fantastic because it has a lot of labels, I think there's like 300 labels in here.
You don't have to do that if you don't want to.
That's too much.
Okay, so because that's like, I'm never going to get to that level.
No, and people make it too complicated. They over-categorize everything for their taxes. We're making too many files. You do not need to do that. This is perfect. You just do it by the month. And you just throw it in here. And the thing that's nice about an accordion system, and these are pretty old school, I mean, we've seen these around for years, but exactly that. If you've got your taxes or any paperwork that you need for January, you just throw it in here, and then you know that it's in here. Now, the nice thing about this is you just
That's important because, it also won't dump out or get dusty, so you can keep that for a long time.
And so this would be perfect for all of your tax paperwork, but a lot of people struggle with those little receipts. And so they have smaller accordions that you can use, so you can keep this with your purse, in your car, any receipts that you want to have, you can just keep it in here, and then it is all in one spot.
That's a good idea, because you often end up with them in your car. You've just purchased whatever, and if you could just stick it in this thing, it would probably be there when you needed it later.
Yes, and again, you can do it by month, and so you know when you're doing your taxes at the end of the year if you have a question about a particular month or something like that. So
this looks pretty obvious, but tell me more.
So the last time I was here, we did command centers, and so this is basically a command center for your taxes. And so again, you just want to have one spot to be able to put everything, because again, we make it too complicated. We're overfiling, we're making too many categories, just plop it all right here. And the nice thing about this, I love drawers, because you just open it, throw it in there, and then you're done. It's not complicated. A lot of people like to have the beautiful boxes, which I like, but they have lids on them. So when you're stacking the boxes, right,
you can't see.
Well, and you can't get into it very easily. You have to take the top one off. You have to lift the lid. It's too much work.
You made a good point when you were here before, which, for a beginner like me is really important, which is just have a place to start. If all the stuff goes in one place, you can kind of sort it out later. It's the not being able to find it that's a real tragedy at tax time.
Absolutely, and that's the goal of these particular systems right here, is we just want to be, I mean, at the end of the year, you just want to be able to give your accountant something and say, here's everything that you're going to need, and let them figure it out.
Don't you suppose they just love that, too, the box
Well, it's
of
better
stuff
than 10 shoeboxes, yes.
Exactly. So what about these guys?
So a binder is another great way of organizing things, and they're portable, it's nice, it's somewhat similar to this, but the difference is you can categorize these in different ways. So this one was by the month of the year, which is great, but this you can do by category. So like if you have work receipts.
I love these little pockets, those are so great.
And when you're doing a binder, you never want to have to do a hole punch, so always buy some kind of a divider that already has them in there. And then these are great because they have this side slit so that everything goes in and out very, very easily.
You can actually get it.
You don't want to use the sheet protector, those old old school ones because you can never get
You
anything.
spend all day. It's like opening the bags in the produce section at the grocery store. You're like, you're just spending
It is
forever.
a nightmare. And so that's the thing about organizing. It needs to be easy. If it's not easy, you're not going to do it. And so
Yes.
this is great because you can color code them, which we talked about before, or you can do them by category. And then at the end of the year, it's all,
It's in
again,
one
it's
thing.
here, it's ready to go.
And then this is great because you have a place to put the files. Once you've got them or your books, then that's the next question, where do I keep them?
Yeah.
This is nice. You can just stick it in a shelf or put it in your desk and it's all in one place. And you bring these really pretty ones and they're not expensive.
They're not. We got everything here at Office Depot, and it's reasonable prices. They have beautiful, I mean, some of the stuff that they're
That's
coming up
pretty.
with now is really, really, and these are fun. I mean, you know, the old boring binders were just blue and, you know, no fun at all.
Okay.
So, and the other thing I will say about this is, so really, we make this too complicated.
A baggie?
A baggie
Now you're
with-
talking my language. That's
If you don't
great.
want to spend a lot of money, just use a Ziploc bag, put the month on there, and call it done.
And we're almost out of time, but I want to ask, what's the rule of thumb for keeping our papers?
So receipts, the only reason you're keeping those is to reconcile your statements at the end of the month. So
Okay.
if you're keeping them, once you reconcile your statement, your credit card bill or anything like that, you can get rid of them. Your bills, technically once you pay them, you can get rid of them, but I would say a year, because that way if you have any questions or problems, 1 year you can go ahead and do those. Bank statements, anything that you use on your taxes. So anything at all that you would use on your taxes, 4 to 7 years, because that's how long the government can come back
And ask you questions
yes,
you don't know the answers
challenge
to.
you. Yes. And then your tax returns, the actual tax return you want to keep forever.
That goes in our permanent file
Yes.
with the red sticky.
Yes.
See, I did learn something. Thank you so much. Well,